As I record this video, we're coming up on the 4th of July, so I thought we'd take a look at a most appropriate song for the occasion. Now, this song is popularly known as I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. It's actually the Yankee Doodle Boy, that's the official title. And it's a patriotic song, obviously, and it's originally from the Broadway musical Little Johnny Jones, written by George M. Cohan. Now, George Michael Cohan, that's what the M stands for. He was born in 1878, died in 1942. He was an American entertainer, playwright, composer, lyricist, actor, singer, dancer, and theatrical producer. Basically, this guy did everything. Now, this play that he wrote, it opened at the Liberty Theater, a former Broadway theater at 234 West 42nd Street in the Theater District of Midtown Manhattan in New York. This play opened on November 7th, 1904, and it was about the trials and tribulations of a fictional American jockey, Johnny Jones. It was actually based on a real-life jockey named Todd Sloan. This jockey rides a horse named Yankee Doodle in the English Derby. This famous song was famously performed by James Cagney in the 1942 film Yankee Doodle Dandy, in which he played George M. Cohan. If you watch this video, there's a video of Cagney doing this on YouTube. He kind of sings his way through the song, but his performance is meant to portray the way George M. Cohan himself did the song. I'll tell you, this is one of those times when I wish I had a time machine so I could go back to New York in 1904 and watch Cohan perform this song. That must have been something. Also, a version of this song was recorded by a contemporary of George M. Cohan and fellow Irish-American. His name was Billy Murray, and he sings it pretty much exactly the way that Cohan wrote it. Now, Billy Murray was one of the most popular singers in the United States in the early 20th century, and he was well known for the recordings that he made. Now, back in those days, you had to make a record by shouting into a horn, and it was basically acoustic recording, and so he sang loud and hard. But he sold over 300 million records in his recording career. That was back when people actually had to buy a record, take it home, put it on their phonograph player, and listen to it. So if you'd like to hear Murray's version of this song, which I highly recommend, just follow the link that I leave in the description. I'll also leave a link to James Cagney's version in the movie Yankee Doodle Dandy. Now that I've given you a brief introduction to this song, we're going to switch to the overhead camera. We'll analyze this song quickly, and I'll show you some different ways that you can play it. Okay, let's take a look at this famous song together. You'll notice that we are in 2/4 time, and we're in the key of G. So let's start by playing the tune. Now, this tune is so famous that you might be able to pick it out by ear, even in the key of G. But I've got the notes here for you in case you would like to read them right off the treble clef. So, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Use whatever fingers are comfortable. Okay. Now, if you had a chance to play along, that's great. You can play through this until you get it down smoothly. And now let's take a look at the chords. We're dealing with our basic chords here, starting with G. Now, if we play the melody here in this range, we're going to need to alter the way we play some of these chords so as not to have our hands crashing together. So we start with G, That's our first chord. Then we go to A7. So we'll play it this way because you can see where the melody's going. And then we have D, D7, and then back to G. And then going to E7, we can leave the D where it is, play the rest of the chord here. And then here we can play A minor in second inversion to make it easier to go from A minor to E7, and then back to A minor, and then to A7. So all those chords we're going to play, well, not the E7, but A minor is first inversion, E7 is in the root position, A minor, second inversion, and then A7 is also inverted, and then back to D and D7. Incidentally, if you prefer, you can go directly from A7 to D7. Either way, whatever sounds good to you. Now, we're back to G. We're familiar with this progression already. And then D and D7 and G. Now here, we're going to play a series of back and forth chords between G and D7 very quickly. So let's play G in second inversion, and that makes it easy to go to D7. And now you can go back and forth. And then from there, you go to A7, and then D7, and back to G. Now, incidentally, if it's too much to play those chords in rapid succession, you could actually just simply stay on G. Play G all the way through. And the reason that that's okay is because at this point, the melody is going crazy at this point. It's a lot of notes going by, and it's a very familiar tune. And most of the time when people sing Yankee Doodle, they don't really worry about changing chords on every beat. So you can do it one way, where you change the chords on every beat, or you can just play one chord. Whichever you prefer, whichever makes it easier for you to begin with. Now, let's put it together. Let's just play the chord at the beginning of every measure. All right. Now let's see if we can make it more interesting beyond just playing block chords. Now it sounds perfectly fine with just the block chords, but let's see if we can do something with this left hand. You could try something like this. And so what we're doing is we're playing the root and then the rest of the chord in the eighth note rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2. When we get to A7, we play the bottom note by itself and then the rest of the chord. And then D, D7, and then back to G. And then E7, and then here, we're emphasizing, right now he's singing the words Uncle Sam. And so you can stop the eighth note pattern and just play block chords there to emphasize. And then back to the eighth note pattern. Back to G. We've done this before. A7, G, D rather, D7, and then G. And then here, You can go back to block chords because now we're emphasizing this quotation. Plus, of course, there's no room to do the eighth note pattern. You could do this, I suppose, if you like. Once again, it's up to you. But I like emphasizing this quotation by playing the block chords there and then returning to the eighth note pattern. So let's play through it using this eighth note pattern in the bass, and it'll sound like this. I'll play it nice and slow and you can follow along. 1, 2, here we go. Uncle Sam. Now, you may have to practice that left hand by itself. That's perfectly fine. In fact, I would encourage that. And I was probably going a little too fast. So you may have to play it at this speed. Just to kind of get it under your fingers. Nothing wrong with practicing slow. The greatest pianists in the world do this, and then as they become more and more comfortable, they gradually speed up. Now there's one other way you can play the left hand. This may require a little more practice, but it could be a lot of fun. Instead of playing just G in the bass, you can alternate G and D. And then here, you stay on the E, and then here, now here it's a little tough. It'd be kind of hard to go. So you stay on the E, emphasize Uncle Sam. Block chords here. A little flourish there at the end. Now, let's say that somebody is singing the melody for you, and you have been called upon to accompany. Now, you don't have to worry about playing the melody anymore. So you can create your own accompaniment. So you could play something like this. Now, you're just playing bass notes in the left hand and the chords in the right. A7, D, G7, E7. Here you can play the block chords again. A7, D, D7, G. Now here you just play big chords. Let's play through it again, and this time we'll have somebody playing the tune. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, if you're feeling really adventurous, you can play octaves in the left hand. Might have to work up to that. Anyway, I hope you have some fun with this very fun patriotic song. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening and playing along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments section. I try my best to answer every question and respond to every comment. If you'd like to support my work, the link to my Patreon page is in the description. Thank you again. I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.